Hi, this is Linda Robert, your solution lady and your coach, with some tips. Again, over the last few weeks, my life has, how can I say, changed somewhat. It's slowed down considerably, and I learned quite a few things. Let me explain. On August 15th, I was involved in an accident. My car was rear ended, and I ended up by hitting the person in front of me. And, initially I was fine. I managed the situation as best as I could. A couple of things came up. I didn't have my phone on me, my cellular phone. So, of course, I didn't have any phone numbers. Note to self, uh, when you're in an accident, you want to call somebody. And if you don't have your phone with you, you may not remember the phone numbers. So, one thing that I learned was to have a list of emergency contact numbers. Let me get my list. Oh, there it is, just a second. So I've got a list here to update and so on that I'm going to also be including it in my car. In the car, whenever I get one back, because of course my car was totaled. I think it's totaled. Anyways, that's a different story. So I have a list of emergency contacts on my fridge, but when you're in an accident and you don't have a phone on you, coincidentally, I didn't know who to contact. I didn't have any numbers. So, note to self again, have a list of emergency contact numbers in your phone. Anyways, I'll keep going with the lessons that I learned. During the rest of that week, I was fine, or apparently I was fine. But on the Saturday morning, I woke up with a headache. I just didn't feel right. I was feeling slowed down. My memory wasn't the best. And there were some words that I just couldn't say. I just couldn't communicate them. So I decided to go see a doctor. And this was also something that my friends had suggested. Just go see a doctor. So I did on Saturday morning. I went to see a doctor, and she got me to complete the symptom checklist for head injuries, and then said to me, well, she didn't use the word concussion, but she said to me, is it clear now that you were injured, that you have a head injury? And I didn't get it. I didn't really understand it like that. I knew how I felt. I knew that I just didn't feel right. So she recommended that I go home and rest and rest and rest, that I ask friends to come over so that they could, prepare the meals and all that stuff. And while she's saying that, it's really not sinking in, because I'm thinking, on the one hand, yeah, I don't think my friends will come over and prepare me meals and stuff like that. She doesn't know that I live by myself and that I don't have tons of friends who are going to be coming over. But that is what she recommended. And so I went home, and luckily I did have my son was visiting that weekend, so he was able to help me out. I did not feel comfortable at all to drive him back, so I called a friend who would drive him back. And that whole week, I stayed at home laying down because I simply wasn't feeling right. But a lot of stuff was coming up, like the fact that I'm all alone. Um, who would I call in cases of emergencies? Now, the truth is that I have friends, but we've been communicating with each other by email or by text. So it doesn't help when you don't have a cellular phone on you. But it also doesn't help because that sense of connection, especially if we've been communicating by email or by phone, it doesn't seem to be as real or as intact. Um, what I decided to do um, following that week, because I had to again take some time off my work for another week because I still wasn't well when I went and seen the doctor on Friday. What I decided to do was send an email out to my friends, several friends, and I soon learned that my friends are there for me. So, two things. When you think you don't have friends, think again. Um, the other thing is you need to ask. I needed to ask for help. So I needed to reach out to my friends and say, you know what, I've been injured. I need either company or I need some assistance with a few things. And there wasn't a problem at all. I had, quite a few friends that um, a couple of friends visited me last week, but this week I also had some friends lined up without a problem to visit. So again, it means, when you think you don't have any friends, because when you're not well, and especially if you're single, you start thinking of the worst. Believe me, how lonely I was, how alone I felt, how I was never, ever, ever going to get better again, and how could I ever possibly be as energetic as I was before. Everything comes up because I felt absolutely not good at all. So the other lessons that I learned is that when you ask for help, people will help you. So note to self, and this is part of the lessons, is sometimes pride gets in the way. And sometimes you think, no, 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 I'll be okay. I can take care of myself. But when you're single and you live alone and emergencies happen, or like in my case, I had a concussion, I'm still not 100% over it. I'm feeling a bit tired today because I think I overdid it with activity. But when you're injured and you are alone because you're single and you live alone, reach out to someone. Now, you may not feel to someone if you've never really developed a good relationship with that person to begin with, or to feel comfortable enough to ask for help. So it's important to nurture relationships while you're doing well. And nurturing could simply be as simple as, calling the person. And those are some of the things I plan on doing, is using the telephone, um, or, a quick email. For some people, that's what they prefer. They prefer a quick email. But calling the person and saying, hey, what are you doing? Feel like doing coffee? I actually did that with one of my neighbors this week. This was a lady that I met a few weeks ago, actually a few months ago, and she decided to have a party, to celebrate the summer, and she invited people over from the neighborhood. So I hadn't met her then, and I connected with her. I thought she was a great lady, and I was trying to find her number all last week to reach her, even though she's just a few houses down. I was in pajamas all week and I wasn't in any shape to step out of the house. And the doctor even told me not to be on the phone. So I was trying as best as possible to respect my doctor's orders. But this week I started to feel a bit better and I wanted to connect with people so desperately. And looking for the phone number. And finally, I found the phone number of my neighbor. And I gave her a shout yesterday. And you know what? For her, it was, just great news to hear from me. And she thought, she said, I wondered what was happening with your car, because she noticed that I didn't have the same car in my driveway. But we ended up by meeting for coffee and, just catching up. And it was a really good visit. So I've realized that the relationships that I want to build have to start with me. If I want real friendships, and I have to say, I have real friendships where they're from friends that I've connected with years ago, and I'm still in great contact with them. Um, High school buddies, for example, that I've kept contact with. So it's definitely not an issue of not having any people in my life that I feel connected with. But because I live now in another city, I haven't developed the same types of intimate friendships that I've had in the past. And it's that sense of intimacy, that sense of connection that I've missed so much when I wasn't feeling well. So that's up to me. Actually, it's up to both of us. When you're in a relationship with people, it's a mutual thing. There's a dynamic. It has to be. I take some steps to contact the person, to invite them over for coffee, but it's a two-way street, right? Because if the relationship isn't two ways, then I think, well, maybe it's not worth pursuing the relationship. So I have to do my part, and of course, the other person has to do their part too. And I truly believe that a face-to-face contact, so FaceTime or Skype, is much better than a text or an email. Now, I'm probably still going to use text or emails. I'm sure I will. But if I have an opportunity to do a live face-to-face, imagine that, live face-to-face meeting with somebody, coffee, for example, or inviting people over for supper, that's going to be my first choice, because I truly believe this is something that I want you to be thinking about too. I truly believe that that face-to-face real contact is what builds relationships. So the challenge now for you is to really think about the relationships that you have. And I'm not talking about Facebook friends. That's another thing. I went back to my Facebook list and I got all these people on my Facebook that I was trying to add for business purposes. But when I think about it on a personal level, I have no idea who these people are. So, sometimes you might have to clean out your Facebook list, or actually contact these people that you have on Facebook and meet with them face to face, or get phone numbers, because that's one thing. No phone numbers. Sometimes I don't even know people's last names. Imagine that, like before, years ago, we always knew each other's last names. So first name, last name, phone number. And if you can get an address, that's perfect. I usually write gratitude letters every year. So an address is really important to have too, especially if you want to send, thank you letters instead of sending an email. I'm not saying let's forget email. Of course not. I mean, this is the world we live in, and technology is super important. I love it, believe me. But what I'm saying, sometimes if you want to continue to build real relationships with people, it is real contact. And getting a letter in the mail, wow, people would probably freak out if they saw a thank you card, a real thank you card, not a virtual card. So those are some of the things that I personally will be challenging myself to do, is contacting my friends more by telephone and giving them my phone number and my full name and my address so that they can visit me anytime. And I'm going to encourage you to do the same, is to really think about who are the friends you have now, especially if you're single. Now, I know some of you might be married, and the dynamic's a little bit different when you're married. However, someone was telling me last week that they had a concussion, and their husband or spouse wasn't there for them while they were sick. So just because you have a spouse or you're living with somebody doesn't mean they're going to be there. You still have to nurture relationships outside of your more serious relationship, your marriage, for example. So I consider that. Who are your friends, and how are you nurturing your relationship right now? It's as simple as a phone call. Hey, how you doing? Just wanted to touch base. And sharing stuff over the phone, or even meeting for coffee. It's that simple. So think about that, and if you'd like, I'd like you to write down some comments in the box below, because this will be on YouTube. You'll see the box below. I'm also going to be putting this on my blog, so you can write your comments on my blog as well. Or you could simply send me an email at linda@lindagrobert.com. I'd love to get your email to hear what you have to say about this particular video. And please check out my website at www.lindagrobert.com. I am here to assist you with anything that you're interested in. And just for your information, I'm currently taking a wellness coaching, an introduction to wellness coaching, which is something that I've always enjoyed, is the theme of wellness, as you may already know. And I'm also taking a assertiveness coaching training as well. So a little bit slowed down this week there because of my situation, but I will be finished that program probably within the next couple of months. So if you're interested in hearing more about it, please send me an email, or if you're interested in receiving some coaching services on, being more assertive or anything in general, please look me up as well. Again, my name is Linda Robert. I am your solution lady and your coach, and you can contact me at www.lindagrobert.com or send me an email at linda@lindagrobert.com. Thanks. Have a good day.